A no-sleep story posted by Beardify. Whatever is living inside my mom's creepy statue? I don't think it's the Virgin Mary. Has anyone heard of a Red Maria? You've probably seen them everywhere. Those cheap ceramic statues of the Virgin Mary, a common fixture of gardens, grottos, and grandmothers' houses. In the ordinary version, the safe Virgin Mary's skin is peach-colored. Her hair is brown or black, face is plain and unadorned, and her robes are blue. There are, of course, other versions, like the Red Maria. A Red Maria's skin is white as snow, but its hair, robes, and lips are crimson. I saw one for the first time when I was 8 years old. It had been set up in the alcove at the end of the narrow hallway that led to our 3 closet-sized bedrooms. One for my mother, one for my sisters Veronica and Esmeralda, and one for me. My mother told me that the Red Maria was there to protect us, but that pale statue didn't make me feel safe. It made me feel watched. Its black painted eyes seemed to follow me, and the nightlight my mother placed beneath the Red Maria only made it worse. Lit from below, the statue cast eerie shadows on the wall behind. When I crept out of my room to pour water down my parched throat or use the toilet, I tried not to look at it, but my eyes were always dragged, almost unwillingly, to the alcove at the end of the hall. I was terrified of what I might see, because the Red Maria looked different at night. My sisters said it was just a trick of the light. They said I was acting like a little baby, but they didn't see what I saw. Their room was closer to the bathroom, at the end of the hall. They didn't see the way the Red Maria's jaw seemed to distend, transforming her mouth into a screaming black pit. They didn't see the twisted shadow that rose above the innocuous ceramic statue at the end of the hall. Peering around the corner of my bedroom door, I couldn't help but wonder, what if those freakishly long fingers were caused by more than just the nightlight's glow? What if I looked down the hallway one night and found the alcove was empty? Would I then turn around and see the real Red Maria, monstrous robed woman, far too tall for my tiny bedroom, glaring down at me with a garish crimson smile? My mother reassured me that these were only childish fears. At my age, she explained, it was normal to be afraid of statues, puppets, and other denizens of the uncanny valley. It was only a statue, it couldn't hurt me. I did my best to believe her, until the Red Maria started moving around after dark. Some nights, I'd wake to a hard sliding sound like a ceramic robe scraping across hallway tiles. Whenever I'd work up the courage to peer into the corridor, the Red Maria would be gone. Once, I found it in the bathroom beside the dripping faucet. Another morning, I nearly fell over backwards when it appeared inside my laundry bin. A few weeks before my 9th birthday, I woke up with the undeniable sense that there was a presence in my room. I could feel it, like a hunted animal. I moved slowly, my head from side to side, checking my surroundings. There was my disorganized desk, the half-open closet, the lightless television. I gingerly lowered my bare feet onto the tile, and felt cold ceramic fingers graze my own. I shrieked loud enough to wake up half the building. My mother burst into the room and bashed on the lights, revealing my 2 sisters, giggling like mad beneath my bed. The Red Maria stood lifelessly where they'd placed it, right beside my hand. My mother made the 3 of us carry the Red Maria back to her alcove together. I remember feeling certain that it weighed much more than it should have. The next morning, my younger sister Esmeralda woke up with a fever, and the games with the Red Maria came to a screeching halt. We went to doctor after doctor, but the specialists were at a loss to discover why my younger sister was sleeping so much, or why she'd become so weak. Esmeralda's bedroom took on the sweet rotten odor of a sick room, and my older sister Veronica moved in with me. The more traditional medicine failed to help my younger sister, the more my mother turned to her faith for answers. Suddenly the Red Maria was more important than ever. As the weeks of Esmeralda's illness dragged into months, the alcove at the end of the hall became more like a shrine, overhung with rosaries, perfumed with incense, and cluttered with ruby-colored carnations. I still felt like there was something off about the Red Maria, like it was something more, or less, than a humble representation of the Mother of God. But above all else I felt guilty. If only I hadn't been so afraid of that stupid statue, maybe my little sister wouldn't have stayed up late trying to tease me with it. Maybe if she'd gotten more sleep, she never would have gotten sick. I was only 9 years old, but I understood cause and effect, and I couldn't shake the feeling that somehow it was all my fault. I knew now that there were far more frightening things in the world than a lifeless ceramic statue, things like inexplicable diseases, hospital debt collectors, or the pink slip that my mother received from her job as a janitor that September. I took over most of the cooking and cleaning, and Veronica dropped out of school to work illegally in a restaurant. Esmeralda only woke to eat a tiny amount of food, use the restroom, and then return to bed. After months of inconclusive testing, my mother no longer believed that anything but faith could save her daughter. So much happened to the rest of our family that fall that I didn't dare to tell anyone what was happening to me. Faced with my mother's unemployment, Veronica's exhaustion, or Esmeralda's illness, what right did I have to complain about a few nightmares, if they were nightmares? Every night, a shadow would pass in front of my bedroom. It hovered for a moment in front of my door, blocking the nightlight's feeble glow, then drifted by as soundlessly as smoke. In those moments I'd clench my sheets until my knuckles went white, praying that Veronica would wake up so I wouldn't have to face the horror alone, but she never did. Instead, I'd hear the groan of Esmeralda's bed springs, like something heavy had just slithered onto her mattress. Whatever it was responsible for my sister's illness. I was sure of it, just as I was sure that no adult would ever believe my story about evil statues and moving shadows. Laying in bed, with only a thin wooden door between the shadow and me, I forced myself to wiggle one toe, then another, then my whole foot. Once I had overcome my fear enough to place my feet on the floor and stand up, I knew that I could face whatever waited in the hallway. I clutched a flashlight in one hand, a rosary and a child-sized pocketknife in the other. The shadow could move quickly, but so could I. I stuck my head into the hallway just in time to witness a formless black shape squeeze into Esmeralda's room. The realization that the impossible thing I was seeing was actually real washed over me like icy water. Maybe what my mother had said was true. The statue couldn't hurt me, but maybe the thing that dwelt inside of it could. I thought of my little sister's dimpled face giggling under my bed. It had been the last time I'd seen her smile. I sucked a lungful of air down my dry throat and threw open Esmeralda's door. When the beam of my flashlight cut through the inky blackness of my little sister's bedroom, I caught just a glimpse of it. The red Maria from my nightmares. Its jaw open snake wide as it sucked something smoke-like out of Esmeralda's mouth. The moment the light hit it, it twisted its face into a grotesque expression of hatred and vanished. A shriek pierced the silence. The scream was Esmeralda's, and it felt like it would never stop. Even cradled my mother's arms, my little sister kept screeching until only a wheeze moaned up from her raw lungs. She collapsed back into sleep, pale and exhausted. My mother hit me for the first time that night, so hard that the flashlight flew out of my hand. Didn't I understand the condition my sister was in? How could I even think of risking her health with some absurd nighttime game? When my mother finally stopped shaking me, I was seeing stars. She hugged me, cried, then dragged herself back to bed without a word. She had a job interview in the morning. As I collected the broken flashlight's batteries and tiptoed out of my sister's room, I would have sworn that the red Maria's smile was wider and more crimson than usual. I had to find another way. The extra chores I received as punishment for disturbing Esmeralda's rest provided the perfect excuse. I'd just knock that hateful statue over with a broom. I could say it was an accident, and whatever extra punishment I got for that, well, it would be worth it. The red Maria, however, didn't break. It didn't even crack, not even when I smashed my aluminium baseball bat onto its delicate features again and again. Instead of shattering ceramic, I heard a whisper of laughter. When I blinked, I saw a horrific vision of what would happen to me that night. When the red Maria enjoyed its sweet, slow revenge, I walked back downstairs into the living room. I felt hollow, unsure what to do with myself. I'd never seen death up close, or even thought about it, and certainly nothing so visceral as the gory images that had just flashed through my mind. I didn't want to die. I didn't want to close my eyes and wake up somewhere as dark and empty as the inside of a ceramic statue. Yet if I didn't somehow free my family from the Red Maria before the nightfall, I had no doubt that I'd be dead before dawn. I could already imagine it, 9-year-old me, huddled in the television's blue glow with my flickering flashlight, watching a blacker than black figure trickle into the room. Whatever it did to me would look like an accident, I was sure of it, and the thing inside the Red Maria would continue to drain Esmeralda. I had to act fast. Veronica would be home from work in a few hours, and my mother could return from her job search at any time. I bundled the Red Maria into a heavy trash bag. Its angry whispers resounded in my ears. At any moment I expected tendrils of shadow to creep out from the thin plastic and slither down my throat. I did my best to keep the covered statue beneath bright light while I rummaged in my closet. Beneath mothballed stuffed animals and cardboard boxes of football memorabilia, I finally found what I was looking for: the red wagon that Veronica had pulled me around in when I was a toddler. Armed with a hand-drawn free sign, I wheeled the Red Maria to the trashiest street corner I knew of. Anything from a bedbug-ridden mattress to an armless office chair would disappear if left there overnight, and I had a sneaking suspicion that it was where my mother did a lot of our holiday shopping. The broken lamp and abandoned Barbie Jeep already waiting on the corner cast long, eerie shadows in the late afternoon sun. I unbagged the Red Maria, bound the sign around its neck, and hoped for the best. Walking home, I couldn't help but feel sure that the Red Maria would be waiting for me, a smile on its crimson lips. Instead, I found that my mother and both of my sisters were gone. My mother's heels were by the door, Veronica's work hat and keys lay on the table, and Esmeralda's sickbed was empty. Panic rose in my chest. Had the Red Maria taken my family? The front door creaked open. My mother rushed into the house and hugged me close. Behind her, Esmeralda was swinging from Veronica's arm, asking if she could go back to school and see her friends yet. My little sister's mysterious illness had vanished as suddenly and strangely as it had appeared. Everyone thought it was a miracle, everyone but me. I was just as thrilled as my mother and sister about Esmeralda's recovery, until I thought more deeply about what might mean. The Red Maria was with another family now. Someone had picked it up from that junky corner, someone in search of a decoration, a symbol of faith, or a cheap gift. My little sister was safe, because the Red Maria had found another victim.